everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Good, good. Awesome. Hey, welcome to DevLive, and thanks for being here. It's a good, compact crowd. I'm kind of curious, how many of you are here because we have AI in the title? Most of you. How about we have developer in the title? We just have one developer in the room? Awesome, good. And how about the gold mine? Are you here for the gold mine? Good, good, perfect, perfect. Great. So let's get started. We have a good session lined up for you here today. My name is Ashish Agarwal. I run the innovation lab for energy and water. So that is our industry vertical that targets utilities. So I get to play with all the technologies that you are going to hear about here today, and Anand covered quite a bit of them. So I have a pretty cool job. I get to play with this technology and come get the feedback from you all. So as part of my presentations, I'm going to talk a little bit about AI services, but majority of the talk is going to be demoing a couple of applications we have built leveraging these AI services. So we'll do a quick demo, and we'll just talk about different AI services that we use kind of behind the scenes to make it happen. So there's so much talk about AI, but why should we care about AI? When I go back and look at what is happening with AI in terms of industry today, I can kind of draw parallels between what happened with the PC industries in 1980s, 1990s. There was a lot of FUD, there was a lot of confusion. People were worried computers are going to take over their jobs. They're going to be without work. But kind of taking a look back now, we see that our jobs have enriched. We have much better jobs. Computers take care of a lot of mundane work, and then we can focus on important tasks at hand. So I feel AI is going to take a very similar trajectory, and maybe a little bit steeper, right? So type of problems we typically use AI for traditional problems of task automation, data analysis, monitoring a stream of data, creating models, and detecting any anomalies, and then with generative AI to create new content. And you will see some of this in action today. Are there other use cases that you guys are kind of using AI for? I'm just kind of curious. Maybe just kind of shout out type of places where you're using AI. I can't believe nobody is using AI today. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. So I think these are a couple of common use cases that we all kind of use AI for. So at Oracle, our mission is really to help people see data in new ways, discover insights, and unlock endless possibilities. And AI kind of fits right in. And as a result of that, Anand kind of showed this slide. Oracle has AI built into every layer of our stack. Starting with SaaS applications, AI services, data, and infrastructure. And of course, we have a vibrant set of partners who help us fill in the gaps where we have a gap in our stack. Anand talked about this slide, so I'm just going to move past it. For us as developers, I think we're really kind of interested in the AI services layer and the data layer, right? These are the layers of most interest to us. Most of our, we have applications. They are the top right quadrant for Gartner, kind of leading applications in their own categories. The important part of this slide is these applications leverage the same AI services that are available to you today. So it means these are the services that we are consuming in turn as part of our applications, and you can benefit from them. The yellow line that you see drawn there, this is kind of our collection of services which are for generative AI. But I want to draw your attention to the rest of the services there also. We have a whole bunch of AI services which are called classic AI services, which do things like speech, language, vision, and document understanding. And it is when you really combine these AI services together that magic really happens. And that is what I want to kind of spend most of my time kind of talking. So there's a classic question, right? I mean, those of you who have played with generative AI, it seems like it can supersede all other AI services. It can do pretty much everything. But as an engineer, we know that we have multiple tools in our toolbox. We don't use a single tool for everything. We use the appropriate tool for everything. And that's kind of very true for generative AI. So generative AI is, there are kind of, again, pros and cons of that, right? It's really trained for vast amount of data. People say it's been trained for all human knowledge since the beginning. All written knowledge is what generative AI knows. So basically, it knows collective knowledge that humans have generated over centuries. So it has a very broad knowledge base, and it's really kind of good in understanding long-form context. So we can feed it manuals, we can feed it contracts, we can ask it questions, and it really works well on this unstructured, long-form context. And as a result, it can really answer the questions on a variety of use cases, and that's why it has so much attention. But it does come at a price, right? The big price being it requires a lot more computational resources than a traditional model. What it means that now we can't really run this on the edge. We have to run it in the cloud where all of those resources are available. And more importantly, like me being part of the utility industry, there is always a talk about carbon footprint. So if I'm asking a question to an LLM, how much of energy is it using to give me that answer? What is the carbon footprint of that query compared to maybe a traditional resource? And it does not always come in favor for generative AI. Other kind of things that you're going to watch out for is, we all know about hallucinations. Generative AI, it tends to please its human master, right? So it will always come up with an answer. And it can be very confidently wrong, which is where kind of hallucination really kind of comes from. And then the other thing, again, in the con bucket is a lot of people boast about models being, billions of parameters. I have 7 billion parameter of these. And all of these parameters are kind of almost like a black box to us, right? The weight for those parameters, how you tune them. This is something which is very obscure that we typically don't really understand. So not to say that not dishing on Gen AI here. The main point here is that we have a whole bunch of services. Generative AI is place. It's a new kid on the block. Very cool, knows everything, and can really solve the problems. But there is a room for other AI services. So when should we use these other AI services? We just call them classical AI services. So I would say when you need a lightweight model that is consistent, you want it to perform reliably, and then you're conscious of the cost. Again, generative AI, costly because it requires a lot of CPU resources, but traditional AI models have a place. And in a couple of examples that we're going to look at, you're going to see how they both can kind of work together, using traditional classical models and generative AI together. I think Anand touched on this a little bit too. So where does kind of Oracle fit in? And to me, the answer just boils down to a single word. It is designed for the enterprise. Large language models, again, they're trained on world's data, but you really need to tailor those data for your own enterprise. That's where tuning comes in, right? So we use our own services. So we have been tuning these models for domain-specific use case. Every industry has its own lingo, has its own jargon, and you really need those LLMs to understand the context of the domain that you are really creating the solutions for. So using a publicly available, off-the-shelf LLM model might not be a best fit for your specific domain. So tuning is very important. And when it comes to enterprise, security and privacy is very important, right? Your data should not be shared by your competitors. That is your trade secret. So the tune models that you create in OCI are really restricted to the tenancy that has it deployed. It's not shared with LLM providers. It's not shared across customers. The training data, the models, everything is secure to your tenancy. And of course, the predictable and performance pricing. There is always a trade-off between performance and pricing. You can have dedicated clusters for your own models, or you can share virtual GPUs where you're sharing the hardware. The data is never, ever shared. You can share the hardware for better price, or have dedicated clusters for better performance. So again, just AI for the enterprise is really where Oracle shines. The whole bunch of use cases we are working on today, starting from customer contact centers to generating content. This can be boilerplate content based on your brand. It can be things like job descriptions, product descriptions, a blog post, creating custom campaigns for the customers. And from a DevOps side, we looked at things around code generation. There are efforts underway to help you analyze and clean the data. And then all the way on the far right, really solving a complex business problem, analyzing unstructured data. So a whole range of use cases. What I'm going to focus on is the first and the last one today. I think we're going to spend the majority of time looking at how we are using LLM, generative AI models to solve a problem within a call center domain. And then we quickly look at how we are solving this on the field service side. So these are the two demos I'm going to do. Again, starting from the future of customer service. So here, what we are trying to solve for, and what you will see in the demo, is how can we really elevate the performance of a call center agent? So we are not trying to replace the agent. What we are trying to do is we're trying to create a bot that will listen to a conversation between the customer and the agent in real time. And as agent and customers are talking, can it analyze that conversation and come up with suggestions for the agent to be really productive? So we have it working in the lab. We're going to see the demo again. This is not a product. This is something that we are working in the lab. Just kind of give you an inspiration of type of things you can build on top of our services. So everything that you see in the demo is available today for you in OCI. So before we play the demo, I just wanted to quickly point your attention to, so what you will see in the demo is the majority of the screen will be a call center application. In our case, it is our CX service application. Doesn't need to be. But you will see this, what we call an agent assist tool on the right-hand side of the screen. It has various areas. So for example, your real-time transcription will show up here, sentiment analysis, all the knowledge lookups show up in these two cards, and then you'll see information change here as the conversation changes. It's about 5 minutes long. I'm going to play the demo, and then we're going to come back and talk about what we saw in the demo, and also give you a little bit of insight on how we created it behind the scenes. Sounds good? Cool. So let's play the demo. A customer call Jamie is going to call into call center agent Noah, and then they are going to start having conversations here.
Hi, my name is Noah. May I have your name and account ID?
Yes, my name's Jamie Smith. My account ID is 08887 65307.
Thanks, Jamie. Can you verify the service address you are calling about today?
Oh, sure. My address is 123 Main Street, Deerfield, Illinois, 60015.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I do have your account pulled up, and I see you were at our website recently, and you were looking into our rate plans. How can I help you today?
I just purchased an electric vehicle, and I received my first bill. I was not aware that charging the car would use so much power and cost such an increase in my bill. I read on the website that there might be a better rate for customers with electric vehicles. So I want to discuss the possibility of switching my rate to an EV rate.
Sure, Jamie. I can certainly understand your surprise if you weren't expecting the higher bill. Let me send you some information about the EV rate plans so that we can make sure that you make the best choice. Now, since you are logged into the website, I can send it directly to your screen and we can review it together.
Wow, that would be great. Hey, I see the article. Let's see. It says it would be less expensive if I charge my car at night. I usually charge it in the afternoon. Will it really make a big difference on my bill?
Well, we actually have an interactive rate plan tool that will help you estimate the cost based on the time you charge your car. I can send that over to you in your chat window now.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Oh yeah, this is very helpful. I like that I'm able to switch between the different options and see how it impacts my usage. I guess I have to get into the habit of charging my car at night because it does seem the best for my bill.
Yeah, the EV rate plan is a great choice for customers that charge their vehicles at night, since the cost of energy is much lower during that time. Now, if you decide that the EV rate plan is right for you, you can go ahead and make that change directly using the tool. You're going to want to select the EV rate in the bottom left corner and then select Done. You will see that your new rate has been updated. Okay, Jamie, I see that your rate has been updated. And you did select the EV rate plan. This will be effective with your next month's bill.
Oh, thanks. My biggest concern is that I'll forget to plug it in, and I won't have enough charge the next day to get to work.
Oh, I definitely understand your concern. There are also different types of chargers for electric vehicles that actually charge much faster and use less energy. Let me send you some information on the different types of chargers and actually a link to the marketplace where you can go and review your options. The level 2 charger seems to be the most popular.
I didn't know there were different types of chargers. Oh, thanks, Noah. I'm going to review this information with my family.
Great. Well, I did send that over. Was there anything else that I could help you today?
No, that's it. You have been very helpful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling, Jamie.
Cool. So just a couple of things I wanted to point out that you saw here, right? So we kind of saw how Jamie and Noah were having a conversation. Noah never had to put Jamie on hold. And that is kind of the biggest pet peeve we hear about people calling into the call center. That first of all, it's hard to get to a call center agent. And once you get to the call center agent, they listen to your problem, and then they have to put on hold. When you're put on hold, what they are doing is they're essentially kind of searching through their knowledge base, right? So you didn't see that. Second thing, what you saw is Noah really encouraged Jamie to change her own rate herself online. And then in the end, you saw how we were able to kind of summarize the conversation and do those tasks. So again, some of these are really kind of getting at how we can really improve the call center experience. So we are cutting down on the hold time, and then we are automating a lot of the tasks for the agent. There's a second part of the demo. I'm going to quickly play this now. Here, what you are going to see is the automation part. So here, again, there will be a new customer calling. There's no audio on this one, so I'm just going to do a voiceover. The agent assist tool is going to shift to the other side of the screen. Just want to make sure you use both sides of your neck, right? So this time, just look the other way. And then the scenario here is that Sabela is calling from a new phone number that is not known to the system. And then we will see how AI technology, tools like RPA, remote process automation, can help us automatically fill out the form as the agent and customers are having the conversation. So let's play the demo. So again, Sabela is calling, so we get the name unknown because this phone number is not known to the system. Sabela is calling, she confirms a phone number, the phone number is automatically extracted, and then we use the search button that kicks off an RPA tool to search the customer. And of course, we won't find the customer because this phone number is not known to the system. So we ask the customer for their account number. Again, our account number is automatically extracted from the real-time conversation using entity extraction. Second RPA action to search on the account number. And of course, this time we will find the customer because that account number is known to the system. We confirm the address for the customer here. So we're going to ask the customer their address, again, real-time transcription. And then they confirm that they got a new phone number. And then we can just click on Update Contact here, which will again launch the RPA tool. So the customer is confirming they got a new phone number. And now the RPA tool is automatically navigating to the Edit Customer screen and filling out the phone number on behalf of the agent. Agent can just review this and click Save. So you can imagine like kind of the huge performance benefits for using technology by which we can analyze the audio in real time, take out key entities, combine them with RPA to automatically fill out the form, kind of almost magical. So there are 4 tenets of this. I'm going to just talk a little bit about each tenant, and we can look at how we implement that in the background. The first thing is real time. So let's just go through this real time, analyzing the conversation real time, a lot of insights using AI, automation using RPA tool, and then interactive tools using kind of web push technology to push the information to the customer. So let's start with real time. So the traditional wisdom has always been that data needs to be first collected and then analyzed in bulk at a later point in time. Typically, whenever we call into a call center, what is the message that we hear? Your service request will show up on your account in 24 to 48 hours. The reason being, most of the work is done in batch. The data is extracted, the run through a batch process at night, and the next day the insight's going to show up. And in call center, it is kind of worse, right? You're recording the call centers, and typically agents feel is this is going to be used to somehow evaluate them. It's always going to, nothing good ever comes out of the call recording, right? It will be pointing out things that you do wrong. It's used for training. So they almost feel that you're kind of watching them, judging them when you're recording those calls. It doesn't really help the agent in the time of the need when they are on the phone call with the customer. So the only way we can really help the agents is if we start doing things in real time. And the way we do real time is using Oracle's speech service, so real-time speech analysis. And it really solves quite a few problems. Let's look at how we did it, right? So agent and customers are talking, they typically talk into an IVR system. The call typically goes to a server that is called a SIP-REC server. So SIP is a protocol that they use heavily in the industry. So this is a recording server that records the conversation. So this is all existing capability in pretty much every call center. So we are linking the SIP-REC server to the real-time transcription service. So this is a new service from OCI Speech. It's part of our AI offering. And this essentially transcribes the conversation in real time. It does a few other things, right? It will blank out any offensive words. Agents don't need to see that if the customers are yelling at them on the screen. It will add punctuation marks. It also converts numbers into digits. So if I'm saying my phone number is 303, I don't see 3THREE03. I see the actual digits of the number. So a lot of that heavy lifting is done by the OCI Speech. You can also train OCI Speech to understand specific jargon in your industry. Right? So I'm talking about things like EV rates. So EV is kind of unique to the utility industry, kilowatt hours, kWh, things like that. Any terminology, any jargon that is unique to the industry, you can train the model, making it, again, enterprise ready. And once with the real-time transcription is done, then kind of the real magic starts. So this is kind of the foundational technology for the call centers, or any time where you want to work on real-time audio. So get the speech, you get the text, and then kind of the AI magic can start. So that's, again, kind of our second tenet is all about AI. So today, again, we were talking about this earlier, when you talk to an agent puts you on hold. What is the agent typically doing? They're doing equivalent of a web search, right? And what happens when we do a web search? We get a list of documents, and hopefully, we'll get the answer in the first 2 or 3 documents, right? We have to click on those, we read those, and hopefully we get an answer. But what happens when you ask a question to an LLM? Like Siri or Alexa, it never returns you a list of documents. It gives you the answer, right? Because it's using semantic search. So that's really kind of the biggest saving that happens in the call center is leveraging AI. Is today what the agents have to do is when they listen to your problem, they will put you on hold and they will do an equivalent of a web search. In their intranet, they get documents, they have to read it, and then they figure out how to answer the question. The turnover is pretty significant in the call centers. About a third of the agents they quit every year. It's a stressful job. So they pretty much always have to do this go through this kind of search kind of scenario. And using AI really kind of reduces that work. So this is how we did it behind the scenes. So here we used a whole bunch of models. So a lot of these models are from OCI language. Sentiment analysis, again, detects the sentiment of the customer and the agent. So we are doing both. Entity extraction. Now this is where we extract out keywords, phrases that the customer is saying, things like account number, phone number, email addresses. Classification is important because we know what customer is talking about. So we can classify the call and then look at the knowledge articles that are part of that classification. So if I'm talking about EV rates, I will look at the EV rates knowledge articles. We do a RAG search against that, and we can really show the results in real time to the agent without agent having to put customer on hold and do the search themselves. So it's pretty much as the conversation is going, the different AI insights are presented to the agent in real time without them having to ask for it. So kind of distraction-free way, automatically helping the agents leveraging these services. So let's look at a few of these. So you saw the transcription at the top. The second part of the zone is the customer sentiment analysis. We are analyzing the sentiment both for customers and the agents. So if the agent is getting worked up, we can raise alarm, we can give them some feedback to kind of calm down, put customers on hold. The next 2 sections are knowledge articles. So this is the lookup from the knowledge base. Again, kind of using RAG to summarize and answer the question, preventing the list of documents that a typical web search does. This is a recommendation engine behind the scenes, kind of looking at the customers and recommending what is the next best action they can take. And finally, we have the call classification and entity extractions there. And then the another thing that we have heard in the call center is adding this transcript to the call and adding the call summary is very important for the agents. LLMs are great at those tasks, right? So we use LLM to do this, the call summarization. The next two tenets are kind of my favorite, the automation one. To me, this is just like pure magic, right? I'm just looking at the screen and the form is getting filled up for me. And this is really kind of using, as we talked about, robotic process automation tools. Because we can extract the entities in real time from the conversation, filling them up automatically is where a lot of time savings come from. Again, because of this huge turnover in the call center. Typically, most call centers would have a cheat sheet. And the cheat sheet would typically be things like, for this particular action, so if I want to, say, change my address or I want to disconnect a customer, press Control F5, then press 5, and tab, next field. So again, this is a set of instructions. And we as programmers know, right, if you can write it down on a piece of paper, you can automate it. So once we have those list of instructions, we know what keystrokes to press and what to fill out on what form. We can automate them using a tool like RPA. So what RPA does, it essentially takes those keystrokes and then it kind of feeds them into the system. So there is an agent that is running on the agent's desktop, is taking control of the browser. And based on the action that the agent selects, we are passing those keystrokes to that agent. So this browser is essentially navigating automatically to the right screen. So if the customer is talking about rate plan change, will navigate to the rate plan screen automatically. Just passing that keystrokes and mouse clicks events. And then because we have those entity data plugged from the real-time conversation using entity extraction, we can fill in those entities automatically. So pretty magical, really impactful in a call center scenario where agents are relatively new, the screen navigation is fairly complex. And if you think about it, what is agent really doing? It's doing speech to text, right? I'm listening to what my customer is saying, I'm writing it down, and that's what computers are really good at, speech to text. So we can kind of eliminate that from the equation. And then what they are doing is that they typically write it down on a piece of paper. They're doing essentially Control-C, Control-V, really. And then they're going to fill it out in the form. We are filling that out on the form automatically for them. So again, just bringing together the power of LLM, speech, entity extraction together into a single service, creating a pretty wow moment for the customers. The next one, we call it interactive. This is really, to me, is teaching customers how to fish, right? It's really all about, especially in call centers, the big thing is, are you able to deflect the call? Are you able to coach the customer so next time they don't call you, they do the things themselves? And we all know that, especially the younger generation, right? They really don't want to talk to people anymore. They really want to do things on their own. And if you just kind of think about it, most people start their journey on a website anyway. How many of you still use Yellow Pages or know what Yellow Pages are? Like, nobody uses Yellow Pages anymore, right? Oh, how many of you use a landline phone? Oh, there are still a couple of people who use landline phone, right? But majority of us are, imagine if you have to call a utility, what is the first thing you will do? You will go to the utility website. And you saw in this example, right, this customer started the journey on the website. So the idea there is that you're already in front or close to a smart device when you're calling. And imagine when we're on a call, what are we doing? We're only using the audio channel. All these computers have lovely screens. They're used for visuals. Mostly people don't even know they can use the phone for talking, right? They use it for browsing or other activities. So it's really that using all the channels of your smart device is what this is all about. And the way it works is, if you're on the website, we know what your web session is based on your account number. If you're calling, we know we have an audio session. We have tied to an account number. We mix those sessions together. And if there is a situation that arises, so we want to share an article with the customer, we can push the articles using web push on their web channel. So we're using all the channels available to us for truly a multi-channel communications with the customer. So things like, I want to schedule an appointment. Rather than going back and forth over the calendar dates, we can push the calendar to the customer, and the customer can then choose it themselves. So we don't have to send it through email. We don't have to tell them how to navigate. Do you see the hamburger menu? Press Control F and then go to this menu. None of that. We can just use web push to push tools directly to the customer. So again, this is like a big tenant. So together, real time, leveraging AI, leveraging autonomous tools like RPA, and using this web push technology, creating these applications that we can push to the customer on a web channel, really kind of solves a big problem in the call center. So we're going to quickly look at our next demo. This is for fieldwork. So the fieldwork has a unique problem, right? We have a lot of amazing technology. A lot of this technology is touch-based. With iPhones now, tablets, PCs, everything is now touch-based. But if you imagine workers in the field, they might be on the top of a pole, they might be climbing a tree, using heavy equipment. They can't use the technology. Moreover, they usually are wearing thick gloves, especially in the utility industry. So although they have all this rich technology, they can't really access it. So we have a solution for that. So we'll do this demo in 2 parts. You will see how we use robots for automatic inspections, and then how we can use voice interface to solve the problem for the call center, for the field workers. So let me play this demo. So here you're going to see a live shot from our innovation lab. We have created some poles with deliberately, we put some rust on those. And then here you'll see the drone flying. We are playing this video at 2x speed just for the sake of time. So drone flew, it took the images, and it kind of landed. And then it's uploading the images to the Oracle Vision service. The Oracle Vision service is analyzing the images. It will analyze the footage, and then it will give a confidence factor on how good it thinks that asset is. It's a normal asset or it is a damaged asset. The assets that are damaged, we can automate a workflow. We can automatically create a work order in our work order system. So these assets can be fixed by sending a field worker to the site, right? So typically, if you can imagine, doing inspections is very much like inspecting or getting your car serviced. It is time-based. Using tools like robotic inspections, we can really speed those up, so we can automate those inspection processes. So let's look at the second part of the demo. This is where we are using voice to communicate to the field worker, and you will see how we're using voice, and we're pulling information from the back office systems, using LLMs, using RAG technology, using dictation. So a couple of different scenarios and things that we are playing with in our lab using Oracle Vision and Oracle Speech. So let's play the demo. It's about 3 minutes long.
Here's a quick demo of an application we are building as a plugin to OFS. It allows field technician to work hands-on, while the application can be running on a smart device in their pocket. Let's see it in action. So suppose I'm a technician working on a transformer. I need to climb up a pole. I can launch the application here, and then I can just interact with it verbally as I need it. So the application is not listening. I can just click on a listen mode as I start my work. Wake up.
Okay, I am listening.
Overview.
Generating the overview for the work order. Transformer at Merle in Court is a Siemens Electric TRS 2019 model installed on February 1, 2020 with a condition rating of 5.0. Its location is criticality level 6. Past inspections indicate that the oxygen levels are higher than expected, and there have been repeated calls for further inspection.
So I get a good overview as I'm climbing up. And as I'm working on the transformer, I have a question. I might need to look up some information in a manual. So I can just ask the application. Let's see how that works. Look up information.
What can I look up for you?
What is the maximum acceptable limit for water content?
Looking up answers in the system manuals and databases. Found it. For service-aged transformers rated less than 69 kilovolt, results of up to 35 ppm at 60 degrees Celsius are considered acceptable. for 69 kilovolt through 230 kilovolt. A DGA test result of 20 ppm at 60 degrees Celsius is considered acceptable.
And then when I'm done, I can use voice to complete my work order. Let's see how that works. Finish work.
Let's finish the form. Please answer these questions. Pressure reading PSI.
126.
Temperature reading.
104.
Oil indicator. Minimum, optimal, or maximum.
Maximum.
Oil levels correct.
Yes.
Lushing conditions good.
No.
Expansion relief targets acceptable.
Yes.
Any additional notes?
Bushings are deteriorating. Put in a note to check it next time. Discard field. Need to check up on bushings. They are deteriorating pretty fast. Next field.
Submit the form.
Start camera. Capture photo. Submit form.
Form submitted successfully.
Cool. So just you kind of saw how we were able to take speech to text, combine that with RAG, pull up information from the back office systems, again, use LLMs to match what the technician was saying to the fields and automatically fill the form. Again, kind of huge time saving, huge productivity boost for workers in the field. So there are 4 tenets. We're going to go them fairly quickly. Of course, using robotics to do the inspections. And again, as I was saying, right, most of these assets that the utility owns in the field have to be inspected at a regular interval, very similar to getting your car serviced. We get our car serviced every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, depending on the brand. These assets have to be inspected fairly regularly. They're part of our national infrastructure. Utilities spend a huge amount of money inspecting those assets manually. Using robots makes it much, much simpler. But robots also create a problem, right? Like now we are generating so much data, they have to be analyzed. This is where AI really shines. In our example with the drone, we are using OCI vision service to really detect the rusty poles. You can create your own models. You can pass in videos. The main idea there is that drones and robots can collect a large amount of data. We need some kind of an AI model to analyze it manually and then automate the downstream process based on that. So fairly standard. The next 2 things are things that we are kind of working on in the lab right now. So Oracle doesn't offer an augmented reality service. We work with our partners. But the idea there is, and you didn't see this in the demo, but this is something that we are working on right now, is when I'm a field worker, imagine I'm on top of the pole like that worker was, I need to look at some information. And I can, of course, see it, but wouldn't it be cool if it was presented to me visually based on the context that I'm at? So that's what we are kind of working on, like using LLMs to identify what will be the biggest piece of information that will be useful for the field worker in this scenario, and working on his smart glasses, smart lens to portray that information in his visual field of vision. So maybe he's looking at, he knows there is some problem with dissolved oxygen analysis. DGA is a big thing in the utility industry for transformers. We can display some information regarding that automatically in his field of view. So working on things where we can start making interaction much more natural for the field worker. And finally, taking it a step further is really remote presence, right? This is almost like a sci-fi space where the field worker doesn't even need to be there. So imagine there is a drone streaming live video footage. I am a field worker. I could be back at office. I can be at home. And then I'm interacting with that, and my interactions are happening in real world there. So just taking it a step further. So these are the type of things that we are looking at in a lab. And again, a lot of this technology is powered by base OCI services that you all have access to. So this kind of brings me to the end of my presentation. Again, this is the spot we were kind of playing with the camera on it. So key takeaways, right, from this conversation that we had. The big thing is focus on your needs. Gen AI is cool kid on the block, solves a lot of problems, but don't think of this as a single tool forever. I like the example that they give here, right? You will not drive an 18-wheeler to pick up your friend. Every tool has its own place, so just use the right tool. There's a whole collection of services available for you, available at different levels of the stack. Make sure you're using the right service at the right level. Those of you who have not started playing with AI, it is surprisingly very easy to use, right? It sounds big, a lot of crazy words, jargon kind of comes in the way. I was recently at a STEM fair for my son in middle school, and majority of the projects in his class all used AI in some shape or form. Of course, a lot of them from our competition, but still, people are using it. The younger generation is using it. So don't be intimidated by the technology, words, phrases that come in the way. It's relatively simple to use. You can create some really impactful applications with bare minimum effort. Python is all you need to know. And of cost effectiveness, I'm just going to point that out because some of these pricing models of these AI services is a little bit different that we are not used to. We're typically used to either buying things outright or paying a fixed amount month, like a SaaS revenue. But they use some funny thing called tokens, right? Nobody really understands what token is. But it's really, so you have to be conscious of that, right? Like you just make sure you're using the most effective model. You don't have to use GenAI like it's for everything. In our example, we use language models for sentiment analysis. GenAI can do it, but it's not as cost effective. We were using entity extraction using Oracle language models. GenAI can do it, but again, the language model is much more cost effective, less prone to hallucinations. So those are kind of my key takeaways. Finally, just a link tree in various links. You can take this. We are always looking for people to kind of work with. If you liked what you saw, we have got other cool projects in the Innovation Lab. We would love to work with all of you. The lab is really a place where we collaborate with our partners and customers. It's not an Oracle-only thing. We want real industry input as we are developing these solutions. So we'd love to kind of work with as many of you as possible. So I think that is it, and thank you for your time.